Okay, so Altered Reality is the new film from Don E. FauntLeRoy, written by Charles Agron. The film is produced by Armand Gazarian and Charles Agron. It's executive produced also by Charles Agron, Michael Agron. It's associate produced by Beeve Regis, co-produced by Tobin Bell and Lance Henriksen, with line production from Mark Crump. Andrew Morgan Smith took care of the music. Don E. FauntLeRoy is also on cinematography. Andrew Cohen and Scott Conrad take care of editing. Judith Booley is on casting. Production design by Matt Mueller. Janie Dotson and Jules Wright take care of costume design. Hair and makeup, we've got Michael Sullivan, Ladany Sungchakavung, Lexi Taka Saxon, Sarah Law, Xavier Gilmore, Bethany Bracken, and Kirsty Holt Berry. The cast. Right, so Oliver Cook is played by Charles Agron, right? His wife, Caroline, is played by Alyona Khmara. Their daughter is played by Quincy Faler. We've got Charles's lawyer, Cooper Mason, played by Tobin Bell. There's Jack, played by Lance Henriksen. We have got Alex Parker, played by Krista Dane King. Her colleague, Brittany, played by Kayla Adams. Who else do we have? Martha, played by Beeve Regis. There is Reggie Lewis, works at the hotel. Lacey, played by Cassandra Bandfield. Spencer, played by Cameron Kamshaki. Dr. Stevens, played by Damien Castro. Kate, played by Kate Daly. Mike Wilson, played by the late Ed Answer. So that's the main cast, right? The gist of the story. Oliver Cook's life is conflicted. A happy, simple life vs fame and fortune. When Oliver travels to Spring Manor, he's confronted by a mysterious caretaker named Jack. Jack gifts Oliver a bottle of pills, a miracle drug that doesn't exist in this world, and he hands him an apple of temptation. Oliver chooses rich and famous. When his daughter vanishes, there is no material item that he wouldn't trade to get her back. But this deal with the devil is no return policy. Or does it? I mean, that's a weird synopsis, right? It's a weird synopsis because, firstly, this Jack character, Oliver, kind of knows him, right? Because he's like, oh, they've been going to Spring Manor all his life, and he always meets Jack there. So this wasn't like their first ever meeting, right? Not their first ever meeting. And then the whole pills thing is Yeah, the pills thing is weird because there's not like, here's some pills. These pills will, either bring you riches or not, right? It's not, there's no, hey, these are your choices, right? That's not what happens. So it's, yeah, it's a little misleading, right? We start off the film and we've got a little girl on a bike and an old guy looking out the window, right? The way it's shot kind of makes you think, oh, the old guy is going after the girl. But then, that doesn't quite happen, right? So we have that. Then we've got Oliver coming home, looking for his wife. There's a woman and there's a whole confrontation. He storms off with a gun. And then we've got this whole thing with being hung, which, just looking at the way it's being shot, you can clearly see what's happened, right? So it's very bizarre. Then it's, fades out and it's like the beginning. Another thing with the beginning whole sequence, it's shot in a sepia type of tone, which is a bit, it doesn't necessarily make any sense because later in the film, the sepia tone seems to be used for the past, right? So it's a bit like, well, you're, confusing things by putting the future in the past tone, right? Like, that was very odd. But, so yeah, the beginning, Oliver doesn't have money, right? It looks like he's living in a small house, his wife, his kid. I don't think we ever get the name of his daughter throughout this film, which is an odd one, right? Because I feel that, you would be referring to her by her name rather than, oh, where's our daughter? Our daughter is here. Have you forgotten our daughter? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, you might say daughter once or twice, but you'd be using the kid's name the majority of the time, right? If not the name, the pet name, like something, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's a lot of things, right? So they go to this Spring Manor, and then we get the, the actual meeting of Oliver and Jack, right? Which again is, he even references straight that, oh, there you are, Jack. Man, I'm always seeing you here, right? So all of that stuff. Now, when they turn up, they're outside, right? They get out the car, they're outside, and Oliver's holding his head. He's like, oh, honey, I've got a migraine. She's like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I just need some fresh air. And he's like, you're outside, dummy. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? You're outside. You know what I mean? If he had gone, oh, I think I need to take a walk, to clear my head, or you go talk to everyone. I'm going to just go sit on my own in the gardens. That makes more sense, right? The script is all over the place. The script is very clunky. It's very clunky. It's like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right? Now, I can see Charles wants to create this kind of mystery thriller. So you can see what he's trying for. It just doesn't quite work. Because you have all of these elements where it's like, you're putting too much here, right? Like this whole mystery drug thing. So he gets given these tablets, right? And then we jump a year. right? It's a year later. And he's talking to his lawyer, Tobin Bell, Cooper Mason. And the lawyer's like, when you told me about these two drugs, these two poisonous elements to come together and we form a drug. And it's just like, well, firstly, you had tablets. So that means you had to get the tablets analyzed, which takes that's not going to happen straight away. So you've got to get these analyzed. So then they're like, well, it's, these things make up this drug. That would be the thing. But it's like, you'd have to work out, how are you doing that? Right? There's combining things. There's so many different ways to combine things. And you already have a tablet. So someone's going to be like, wait, where you get the tablet from? Because we can't do anything if another company has already got this product, right? But the clinical trials take a little while to put together. And they're like, so this is our second trial, right? In a year, right? So even if, right, he's got this drug analyzed, as I said, that's going to take a little while. So you've done that. Then you have to approach companies to do all of this stuff, right? So to get one clinical trial off the ground in a year, that's a lot. To supposedly do two trials. And the trial they're talking about is like, we had 5,000 people, right? 5,000 people, and you're analyzing all that data. Like, it's just a bonkers thing, right? Because they're like, so, yes, the drug, it cured everything. Which, again, if you're developing a drug for a specific thing. You're not developing hey, I've got a drug and I think it will cure everything. What is that? You can't do that. It's not a thing. You know what I mean? Like, to do a trial to get results that you can measure, you'd have to go, okay, this drug is, say, for pancreatic cancer. But you can't go, this drug is for cancer, because there's so many different types of cancer, different ways in which that cancer attacks the body. And it's different in men and women, right? It depends on if you have pre-existing comorbidity. There's so many things that come into this, right? So to be like, yeah, the drug, it cures everyone of everything. It's just clunky. This is clunky. Like, you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, we can create a better way for Oliver to become rich. You know? And even, right, he's developing a drug. So where's he getting all his money from? Because if he hasn't sold anything yet, how's he got money? You know what I mean? There's a lot going on here where you're just like, wait, the story doesn't really add up. Story doesn't really add up. Right? We don't really have a lot of chemistry between Oliver and Caroline. You know? And the, Cooper character, again, it's all a bit baffling, especially as, the story rolls on and there's these new developments, right? These new twists and everything that are just, wait, what? right? We have people revealing stuff and then it seems to be forgotten about. Like there's a bit when a character's talking to Oliver's wife. She insults her, right? Comes at her all crazy and then's like, oh, and this and this and this. Where you'll just be like, look, you've just been insulted. You're now not going to take this woman's word or trust this woman. You'd be on your guard, but it's just like, oh, what you just told me, I'm going to believe everything. It's so weird. It's so weird, you know? And even when we have Oliver with the whole noose, why is he holding a gun? Like there's like you go, why is he holding a gun, and why is his phone recording? Because he doesn't record a message. It's not like we have him going, okay, I want to say my last words or blah blah. We don't get that. So it's just like, why is the phone on record? And why are you holding a gun if you're hanging yourself? It's a little baffling. The story jumps all over the place. Right? We need some consistency. You know, there's a bit when they're going up the stairs and it's meant to be kind of suspenseful, but if we're going by the camera angle, they're basically on top of each other, which then means just do the thing. Right? There's no chase. If I'm on top of you, there's no chase here. What are we doing? You know, it's, yeah. It is an odd film, right? It's a very odd film. I kind of feel, there was a recent film from a Vision that, I guess like if you enjoyed that, it kind of speaks to, I mean, it wasn't from Vision, but Into the Deep, right? If you like something like Into the Deep or Kidnapped, right? We looked at those two last week. They were both a little bit odd, right? You know, along with Girl in the Pool, you know what I mean? Like, I think another big one would be Man with No Past. You know, the joint from a few weeks back. I think those films probably best speak to what this is, like tonally and vibe wise. You know, like if you enjoy those, I think Altered Reality will speak to you. But yeah. It's not this isn't an award-winning film. It's not gonna change your life. You're not gonna be thinking about it. Other than what? I feel that doesn't make any sense, you know? Listen, these guys, right? Don and Charles, they've done their thing. They've made a film. You know what I mean? So you got to give them props for that, right? Got to give them props for that. It's just, if you like, I feel, the movies that play at 4 a.m. in the morning, you know what I mean? The things that you find straight to VHS from back in the day, those type of films. If they're your thing, then maybe Altered Reality is for you. It's hitting VODs on the 18th, right? On the 18th, Tuesday the 18th of February. So people, if it sounds like it's for you, enjoy.